Good morning and welcome to my YouTube channel, Dennis the Monk. I'm Dennis Vysokovsky, and the topic for today is an affair with fear, part 2. So last week I talked about how fear interferes with our life, how it invades every part of our being. And it prevents us from being successful to the degree that we can be. It has the ability to debilitate us. In some cases, I know in my past, fear has crippled me where I was curled up in a ball for 2 days because I was so overcome with the amount of impact I was experiencing that was causing fear. And in particular, I was in a lawsuit with a large global company, and prior to the lawsuit, I lost everything. I could barely pay for food, couldn't pay the mortgage for my monastery at that time for 4 years. I was blessed to have a bank president who believed in me and knew that I was hardworking and understood the conditions, but 4 years without paying the mortgage, going through also feeling insecure and feeling less than because I wasn't successful. I wasn't able to fulfill my commitments and obligations, which just makes the whole element of fear worse. It's just challenging. So today I want to talk about how to overcome and work through fear. So fear affects us emotionally, spiritually, physically, intellectually, emotionally. Now, universal principles exist regardless if we want to believe they exist. For me, the universal principles founded in objective truth and objective love always. In that place of objective truth and objective love, these universal principles, they're perfect and they follow, they interchange, so no matter what's happening, you can use them without any issue. They interrelate all the time. So for me, I can share a little bit about my story and overcoming fear. Now, I share with you, I created an anti-aging skincare product line, and the Associated Press did an article on this anti-aging product and myself and my monastery and our needs for finances. And the article went global and viral. Happened twice, and the second time was probably August of 2017, I believe. Another article that was written about me and this lawsuit, and the story went viral. I think what creates a viral story and why did those two stories go viral is because I'm up against an international cosmetic giant who I found to be ruthless and, manipulative, controlling, coercive, and it's a challenge. It's a real challenge to have to deal with a company that has so much money and can do whatever they want. And I had a law firm, but it was difficult. I lost everything. I couldn't afford, even at that time I was head of my monastery, I couldn't afford the basics for my monastery. I lost everything. I lost my monastery started to dwindle because I couldn't do the things I needed to do to support the monastery. And then I was the last religious in the community. So I remember days of not knowing how to pay for things. I remember that when I went to get gas one time, the credit card wouldn't work. And I remember praying and worrying about how I was going to get gas for the week. So fear goes from small issues to larger issues. I remember back further when I couldn't pay for gas, 25 cents to go see a doctor. So back in those days when I was overcome with fear, there was a couple things that are available for me, and this is what I want to bring to you. If you're not a spiritual person, I can understand that. If you don't believe in God, I can understand that. But universal principles work regardless of faith, religion, creed. They're not based on one person. That's why they're called universal, and they work regardless of what you do, they work. An example of a universal principle would be the law of reciprocity, giving and receiving. It's a mutuality. What you put into the universe or into the lives of people will return to you. When you give goodness, goodness will return to you. So there's a lot of work we need to do to participate in the universe so the universe can take care of us. One of the things that we can do to overcome fear is, remember, oftentimes we are fearful because we're looking into the future. We're not staying in the moment. Now, Eckhart Tolle has the book, The Power of Now. 450 years ago, if not more, a book was written by Jean-Pierre, I forgot his name, but it's divine, something about divine providence. But nonetheless, same concept. It's that the universe, God, higher power, whatever you want to call it, wants to be in our lives. And the only way they can exist in our lives is if we're willing to confront truth. Oftentimes people seek wisdom. And it's like, well, how can you be wise? Wisdom is truth, understanding truth, acting upon it, though oftentimes painful. And after we act upon it, we have wisdom. So I have a saying, wisdom is truth in action. It takes courage to be wise. If you want to overcome your fears, you need to understand why, where they're coming from. Why am I afraid? So I could be afraid because I can't pay a bill, or it may be even more. I'm afraid because I can't pay a bill because I can't get a job. It could be, it may be boiling down, I don't have the confidence. Whatever it is, we keep on asking ourselves, why do I feel this way? And what do I need to do? Why do I feel this way? And what can I do? So there's things that we can do emotionally. Now, spiritually, for me, I remember when not only was I frightened, I was in a serious depression. I broke my ankle. I had church political stuff I was dealing with. I had a community I was in charge of. And I remember I was only able to get through moments, one moment at a time. And I used to say to myself, in this moment, I'm okay. Right now, in this moment, I'm okay. Because I was worrying about what's going to happen 4 months from now and 5 months from now. Staying in the moment is the only way we can overcome fear that crosses emotional, spiritual, intellectual elements of our existence. There's physical fear when things are not going the way we want them to go, that can be affected by our physical being. Regardless what it is, here's a few things you can do. One, if you don't believe in God, I want to say it's okay. It's difficult. Believe in something that's greater than yourselves. If you don't, then it's going to be even more difficult. But if you don't believe in a God, the other thing you have to do is you have to learn to be humble, being honest with self, others, and a higher power, something outside of you that you give that you believe is bigger, better, stronger than you. It could be a doorknob, doesn't matter, but something outside of you that you can attribute some power. God doesn't care, because eventually you will come to an understanding. But nonetheless, that humility of being honest with self, others, and a higher power enables you to begin to open up your heart. Fear usually hardens the heart. Fear is like a force field that prevents us from seeing the truth around us, even seeing opportunity. For me, I had a mantra in some of my darkest moments, and it used to be a prayer from the Divine Mercy: Jesus, I trust in you. Now, my God, the God of my understanding, is threefold, and it fits into Christianity: Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But I also know that they're the universe. Before I knew who God was, when I was 4 years old, I referred to them as the presence. It doesn't matter to them. It's about a relationship with them, whatever name you want to give them. There's power in the name, however, step by step. When you can come to that place of being humble, you apply it to yourself as well. From that humility comes a place of non-judgmental compassion. With humility and non-judgmental compassion for ourselves, we can start to dig. And sometimes it's really painful. That's why we can't do it alone. If we don't have at least one or two people with whom we can reveal our secrets have power over us, and that power over us usually turns into fear. Some examples of or manifestations of fear is when we are envious of other people. We're afraid they have something that I want that I can't have, or I am unable to attain. If we have jealousy is usually fear is involved with jealousy. Again, I want it, they have it, how can I get it? I don't have it, I didn't earn it. And that whole thing of jealousy and the fear that develops out of jealousy comes from a lack of gratitude for who we are and what we do have. So gratitude helps us come out of fear. Let's see, what else? So you get the idea. There's, they say those 7 cardinal sins. There is something behind it. If I'm lazy, why am I lazy? What am I afraid of? In any case, we need to come to our center. We need to be willing to come into ourselves, share our words, be vulnerable with another person, so that in turn we can also be vulnerable to God. God already knows everything, but when we open our heart to God, God can come into our heart. If a heart is closed, God can't come in. That's the one thing God cannot do. He cannot force his way into our heart and into our life. Same thing with the universe, higher power. They cannot force themselves. We need to align ourselves to them. And when we come into that alignment of over the alignment of understanding ourselves so we can interact with the universe, God, higher power, whatever we want to call that, when we are in alignment slowly but surely, our mind, our heart, our spirit, and our soul comes into alignment that we can participate not only in the universal principles, but we gain access to the powers of the universe that enable us to perform miracles, enable us to serve and help, not for ourselves, but to do good and serve other people. Thank you for joining me on Dennis the Monk. It was a pleasure seeing to you. Please join me again next Sunday at 11 o'clock, same time, same channel, Dennis the Monk, same mustache, and looking forward to seeing you again, and hope this episode of Dennis the Monk has helped you. You have a great day now.